Have you ever felt lost? Like you didn't belong anywhere? What if I told you that a single garden could change everything? That it could heal broken hearts, bring people together, and unlock a kind of magic hidden in plain sight? Welcome to The Secret Garden, a timeless classic written by Frances Hodgson Burnett in 1911. This isn't just a children's book. It's a story about transformation, about how even the most neglected things, whether a forgotten garden or a lonely heart, can bloom again with care and patience. In today's summary, we'll follow Mary Lennox, a spoiled orphan sent to a mysterious manor where she discovers an abandoned garden, and along with it, the secrets that will change her life forever. Stay with me till the end, because this story is filled with mystery, growth, and a message that will stay with you long after you finish watching. Our story begins in colonial India, where 10-year-old Mary Lennox is raised in luxury, but without love. Her parents, wealthy British aristocrats, are too busy with their glamorous social life to care for their daughter. So Mary is left in the hands of servants. She doesn't know kindness, she doesn't know warmth, and because no one ever loved her, she never learned how to love others. She grows up spoiled, bitter, and cruel. She orders people around, she throws tantrums, and she believes the world exists to serve her. But one day, everything changes. A deadly cholera epidemic sweeps through the household. People fall sick one by one. The servants disappear. The halls grow silent. And then, her parents, whom she barely knew, are gone too. When the house is finally opened days later, a soldier finds Mary, alone, forgotten, sitting in the nursery, too self-absorbed to even realize everyone around her had died. Mary Lennox is now an orphan. Mary Lennox had never known real sadness. She had never known love, and now she was being sent to a place that felt as cold and lifeless as she was. Misselthwaite Manor, a grand ancient house sitting on the edge of the Yorkshire moors, a place of secrets, a place of silence. When Mary arrives, she is greeted by Mrs. Medlock, the strict and no-nonsense housekeeper. "Your uncle, Mr. Archibald Craven, is a busy man," she says firmly. "You must not disturb him. You must keep to yourself." And just like that, Mary is left alone in the vast, gloomy mansion. The hallways are long and dark. The paintings on the walls seem to watch her, and somewhere, deep within the house, she hears something strange, a distant cry. Mary asks Mrs. Medlock about it, but the response is always the same. "It's just the wind. You mustn't go poking your nose where it doesn't belong." The only person who speaks kindly to Mary is Martha, the young housemaid. Unlike the quiet and fearful servants in India, Martha is full of life. She speaks with a thick Yorkshire accent, laughs freely, and, most shockingly to Mary, she treats her like an ordinary child, not a spoiled princess. It irritates Mary at first, but soon she finds herself listening to Martha's stories about the vast moors where the wind sweeps endlessly over golden grass, and stories about her younger brother Dickon, who can charm animals like a real-life Dr. Dolittle. And then, one day, Martha mentions something else, something Mary had never heard before. "There's a garden here," Martha says, "a garden that's been locked away for 10 years. No one's been inside since..." She stops herself, but Mary is already curious. "Why was it locked?" Mary demands, but Martha only shrugs. "All I know is the door's hidden and the keys buried. A garden that no one has seen in a decade. A garden with no entrance, no key. A forgotten world, locked away. For the first time in her life, Mary Lennox wants something, and she won't stop until she finds it." Mary begins exploring the grounds of Misselthwaite Manor. The fresh air, the endless moors. She has never felt anything like it. Her pale skin turns rosy. She no longer feels tired all the time, and as she walks, she starts to change. Not just outside, but inside too. But no matter how much she searches, she cannot find the door to the secret garden. Then, one afternoon, something unexpected happens. A small red-breasted robin flutters in front of Mary, tilting its head as if watching her. She follows it, step by step, until it lands on an ivy-covered wall. and there, tangled in the roots and earth beneath it, something small, something metallic, something forgotten, a key. Mary's heart pounds. Could it be? Could this be the key to the lost garden? She looks up at the wall, her hands trembling. Somewhere behind it, a secret waits to be uncovered. But where is the door? Mary doesn't know it yet, but she is about to open the door to something far greater than a garden. She is about to unlock the door to hope, to friendship, and to the greatest transformation of her life. A key, a hidden door, a forgotten garden. Mary Lennox has never felt excitement before. She has never felt the thrill of discovery. But now, with the key clutched tightly in her hands, she knows. This is the beginning of something extraordinary. Day after day, she searches the garden walls, running her fingers over the ivy, pressing against the stones. And then, one morning, she finds it, a small, rusted door, half buried beneath layers of creeping vines. Mary's breath catches in her throat. Could this be it? The lost garden of Misselthwaite Manor? With trembling hands, she pushes the key into the lock and turns it. The door creaks open, and what she sees takes her breath away. It is a wild, tangled place. Twisted branches stretch in every direction. Roses, once beautiful, are now shriveled and bare. Weeds choke the pathways. But beneath the neglect, something stirs. Life. Mary steps inside, her heart pounding. The garden is sleeping, waiting, and for the first time in her life, she feels a strange, unfamiliar desire. She wants to care for something. She wants to bring it back to life. Determined to revive the garden, Mary turns to the one person who understands nature best. Martha's younger brother, Dickon. Dickon is unlike anyone Mary has ever met. He speaks to animals, plays with foxes, and sings to birds. With his bright blue eyes and sun-kissed face, he seems like a spirit of the moors themselves. When Mary tells him about the secret garden, he doesn't hesitate. "We'll bring it back to life," he says with a grin. And so, they begin. Day after day, Mary and Dickon work in the garden. They clear the weeds, loosen the soil, and plant fresh seeds. Under Dickon's guidance, Mary learns how to care for the earth, how to touch the roots gently, how to recognize the signs of growth. And as the garden starts to change, so does she. The once sickly, selfish girl is now strong and full of life. Her cheeks turn pink, her appetite grows. She laughs, she plays. For the first time in her life, Mary Lennox is truly happy. But even as Mary's world blossoms, the mystery inside Misselthwaite Manor deepens. At night she still hears it, the distant echoing cries. They come from somewhere deep in the house, filled with sorrow and pain. One evening, unable to resist any longer, she follows the sound. Through the dark hallways, past the locked rooms, until finally, she finds a hidden door. Inside, lying in a grand four-poster bed, is a boy. A pale, frail boy with dark circles under his eyes. He stares at her in shock. "Who are you?" he demands. Mary stares back. "Who are you?" And that is how she meets Colin Craven, her cousin, the heir of Misselthwaite Manor, a boy who has spent his entire life trapped inside these walls, believing he is too weak to live. Mary Lennox thought she was the only lonely child in Misselthwaite Manor. But now, standing in the dim candlelight of the hidden bedroom, she realizes she is not alone. Lying in a grand, velvet-draped bed is a boy, pale as a ghost, with dark circles under his eyes and a sharp, fragile frame. He looks at her with surprise and suspicion. "Who are you?" he demands. "Who are you?" Mary fires back. The boy lifts his chin. "I am Colin Craven. This is my house." Colin Craven, the son of Mr. Archibald Craven, the very uncle Mary was told to never disturb, the master of Misselthwaite Manor, a man consumed by grief ever since his wife died. And now, Mary understands why Colin has been hidden away. Colin believes he is dying. From the moment he was born, the doctors whispered that he was weak, that his spine was crooked, that he would never grow strong. His father, unable to bear the sight of him, abandoned him to a life inside these four walls. Servants tiptoe around him, afraid to upset him, and Colin himself has come to believe that he is destined for an early grave. But Mary sees something else. "You're not dying," she says bluntly. "You're just like me, sick because no one lets you live." Colin glares at her, but deep down, something stirs. For the first time, someone isn't treating him like a fragile doll. Someone is challenging him. And when Mary tells him about the secret garden, about the fresh air, the sunshine, the flowers pushing through the earth, he listens. A tiny spark of curiosity flickers inside him. Determined to help Colin the way the garden helped her, Mary enlists Dickon's help. One night, with the house asleep, they wheel Colin out of his room for the first time in years. The cold night air shocks him. The vastness of the world outside his bedroom walls stuns him. And as they push him through the halls, down the stone pathways, through the ivy-covered door, they bring him to the place where life begins anew. The secret garden. At first, Colin is overwhelmed. He has spent his whole life trapped in darkness, and now here he is, surrounded by golden sunlight, by the scent of roses, by the sound of birds singing. And then, something incredible happens. He breathes in deeply. For the first time, the fresh air fills his lungs. His body, long accustomed to stillness, begins to awaken. Day after day, Mary and Dickon bring him back. They push his wheelchair through the garden paths. They help him move his arms, stretch his legs, and slowly, so slowly at first that he doesn't even believe it, Colin begins to change. His pale skin takes on color. His thin frame grows stronger. And then one afternoon, something extraordinary happens. He stands. For the first time in his life, Colin Craven stands on his own 2 feet. The garden is working its magic, not just on the flowers, not just on Mary, but on Colin too. As the days pass, Colin starts to believe in something he never thought possible: himself. "I'm not weak," he declares one day. "I am going to be strong. I am going to run. I am going to live." And just like the flowers blooming around him, Colin flourishes. The garden has become more than just a place. It is proof that anything, no matter how broken, can grow again with care, with love, with time. But what will happen when his father returns? When the man who abandoned him finally sees the son he left behind? The secret garden has worked miracles. Mary Lennox, once a spoiled and sickly girl, is now full of life. Colin Craven, once a weak and hopeless boy, is now standing, walking, even running. But the greatest test is yet to come. Mr. Archibald Craven, the grieving, broken father who locked away his wife's beloved garden, has been away for months, wandering through Europe, lost in his sorrow. But one night, he has a dream. In the dream, his late wife calls to him. "Come home," she whispers. "Come and see what has happened." The next morning, with an unfamiliar lightness in his heart, Mr. Craven returns to Misselthwaite Manor. As he steps through the great doors, the servants stare at him in shock. He no longer looks like a man drowning in sadness. There is something different about him, something awake. But the house is quiet, too quiet. Where is Colin? Following an unexplainable pull, Mr. Craven steps outside and walks toward the garden, the very place he swore never to enter again. The ivy-covered door stands before him, locked away for 10 long years. But as he reaches out to touch it, it swings open, and what he sees takes his breath away. Sunlight streams through the trees. Flowers bloom in brilliant colors. And there, at the center of it all, is Colin. Standing, laughing, running. His son, the boy he believed was doomed to a sickly short life, is alive. Tears fill Mr. Craven's eyes. He watches as Colin runs toward him, his face glowing with health, his voice strong and full of joy. "Father!" Colin calls out. And in that single moment, all the years of loneliness, all the pain, all the sorrow fade away. Mr. Craven falls to his knees and embraces his son. "You are well," he whispers, his voice trembling. "You are strong." And Colin, with the wisdom far beyond his years, smiles and says, "I was always strong. I just had to believe it." The secret garden healed more than just plants. It healed Mary, transforming her from a bitter, unloved child into a kind, adventurous girl. It healed Colin, proving to him that he was never truly weak, only afraid. And most of all, it healed Mr. Craven, reminding him that love never truly leaves us. It only waits, like a garden in winter, for the right season to bloom again. The Secret Garden is more than just a story. It is a lesson about growth, about transformation, about the power of nature and love to heal even the deepest wounds. Happiness is something we cultivate, like a garden. Our beliefs shape our reality. When we believe in ourselves, we grow. Even the loneliest heart can find friendship and love. And so, as the sun sets over Misselthwaite Manor, the garden continues to bloom. A symbol of hope, of healing, and of the magic that happens when we dare to open the door to new possibilities. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing book summaries. Comment below. What was your favorite lesson from The Secret Garden?